Hello, welcome to Garden Chronicles. My name is James David, and in today's video, I would like to talk about Anthurium plant care. And this is a collection of all the Anthuriums which I've seen, and I made a compilation of all the videos that is sold here in the KL Park Festival, and I would like to make a comparison and some notes and thoughts about it when concerning these rare Anthuriums, which is highly sought after and also inclusive in the factor where these are sold in premium prices. Do take note that I may omit some of their IDs and their names, as most of these particular ones do concerns in the factor where some of them are hybrids and some of them are in certain variation that comes from certain class of Anthurium plants. So sit back and enjoy the show here as more on a tour kind of factor. Just some basic introduction here. My name is James David, and this particular plant fair is actually held here in Malaysia, and particularly when it comes to a climate zone where it's practically kind of a tropical climate all throughout the day. And when it comes to this kind of concept or idea, when you have equivalent stable condition of plants, and it appears to be that's in that kind of context where it is constantly like a tropical plant, these types of plant, especially the Anthurium plants, do fairly well in a shaded open garden area here in my region. However, when it comes to Anthuriums, these are actually popular plant which has been cultivated throughout the whole world, and in most cases these are also cultivated indoor with grow lights. I wanted to talk about when it comes to medium, and I've noticed by observation here that most of these Anthurium plants were actually cultivated purely using perlite, and I find that in a way it actually helps the formation and the stable root ball system, where it does requires to have some breathing requirement where you're not supposed to grow them in compact soil material. In a way to say something similar like an aeroid mix, where a lot of aeration is applied when it comes to potting medium. However, if you were to notice here, a lot of it was used as perlite, and I find that this actually helps the plant in a way to keep it more on a sterile condition where you would not have any fungus problem or pest problem, especially when it comes to organic materials where these can harbor these particular types of insects. Another interesting fact based on observation that I've noticed is that some of these particular plants are actually imported from Indonesia, and in somewhere you can actually notice by the context of their medium where you find that a majority of the base material that has been used are actually bamboo leaves, in a sort of in a way that it creates those aeration, and these are the signature kind of element that you will know that these are actually from Indonesia. And because these particular plants are actually imported from that kind of growing condition, these are somehow ideal and able to withstand the temperature or the climate acclimatization problems, especially when these are planted somewhere around the same region here in Malaysia. Another observation that I would like to mention here is that when it comes to Anthurium plants, there are some other plants that have similar characteristics, especially the philodendron species when it comes to their foliage features. So do not discount in a sense that if you are actually looking for a specific pattern, you can actually add these kind of plants, especially philodendron gloriosus and varicosum, as an additional feature plants together with your collection. I would like to make an emphasis on this particular Anthurium, commonly known as Queen Anthurium, Anthurium warco-queenium. Somehow, this particular type of Anthurium seems to be very difficult and super sensitive to grow in a low weather condition, and I find that it is considered very challenging. However, once it has been acclimatized to a lowland climate, this can actually thrive. However, it is indeed a slow growing and a sensitive plant. Due to the sensitivity and a difficulty in their context of cultivation, this particular plant still remain on their premium price and in a way to say still in the rare plant category. I believe these are locally cultivated using seeds, hence you can see it appear to be very much seedlings planted using perlite, and you can also notice the aerial roots formation, and somehow these are the interesting characteristics to take note of when it comes to cultivation. One of the most important and challenging factors is their high humidity factor, where this plant requires for them to thrive and grow, in lack of which they do have burn marks on their leaves, as these appears to be very much on a larger scale plants. Also do take note that they don't do very well with shock, as these leaves may drop in context to low factor of humidity, where burns and sometimes rot may occur if their care growing needs are not met. However, when I look at these, I believe that these are quite stable, and especially when it comes to the medium is purely on perlite, so you don't really have to worry about repotting in that context, as this in a way you can save the plant from root rot problem or stem rot problem, and also you can carefully take note of it as the pot itself is transparent. Due to the nature of this particular Anthurium, I really would not recommend this particular Anthurium for new beginners, or even for those who are having challenges when it comes to their premium prices. I would recommend that you should try your hands on Anthurium crystallinum or even Anthurium magnificum, which is fairly reasonable and actually very much affordable due to the current price crash, which they are very much now in affordable prices. Another factor that need to take note of is the due size of their growth, where these leaves do appear to be very much longitudinal and also do not have proper support, as this appears to be very much a cascading plant. So do take note that if you are in the intention of cultivating them, do consider them to have the space for them to grow, as these are indeed large plants. Next in the selection is this particular Anthurium, commonly known as Dorayaki, and I can say that locally it was identified as Anthurium manco in a way to denote that the kind of a flat plate kind of features that is appearing on the leaves. This is one of the unique factors and features when it comes to this particular Anthurium. Now, again, this is another set of types of Anthurium in a way to say separate from crystallinum in that context where I say the unique feature where most Anthuriums are very much appears to be vertical. This particular one is very much like a flat leaf type, and the thing about this particular thing that sort of like falls into the collector's item is because of their many variation and hybrids that comes together in this context. And I can say that when it comes to another their names such as crystallinum hope and silver flush, silver blush, these are actually Dorayaki species hybrids, and that is one of the things that comes to Anthurium. You will never come to a place where you can say that you actually have it all, especially when it comes to the features and beauty. This particular one fall in that category. Do take note that also when it comes to the hybrids, there is another one known as Anthurium forgetii, and you can actually notice that their sinuses don't appear in a way to say there's a kind of a lobe, and over here it's very much like flushed, and so this is a forgetii hybrid. So that's another class altogether when it comes to Anthurium forgetii. Do take note that when it comes to Anthurium forgetii, these are still in their premium prices and still considered rare plants. Do take note that when it comes to Anthurium forgetii hybrids, they do not have an official name due to the factor that when it comes to the crossbreed, and if it's not done properly and when it's changed hands and there's no labels indicating of their parentage, there can be side effects where it can revert to a factor where the stronger genus, where one of the parents may be a crossbreed with a crystallinum. I have come across and take notice of that one singular leaf appear to become in a appearance of a Anthurium crystallinum, and the next one appears to be sort of like a hybrid of forgetii, and this can actually crisscross. So do take note that when it comes to forgetii, the particular plant is actually very much sensitive and do take a dominant role on it. So if at all you do not have a strong genus when it comes to the crossing and the hybrid, the stronger one, especially crystallinum or magnificum, may take a stronger dominant role, and you may actually lose out the forgetii features. So these are the things that you have to know and take note of when it comes to hybrid plants. This particular one is known as Anthurium crystallinum dark form. In a way, it is sort of like not an official name, but sort of like a mark, a kind of a local name identified here. And the special features here on this particular Anthurium, if you can notice, are the appearance of a darker version colorization on the leaf formation, and this is actually considered highly sought after in a way to say it has a more rare kind of appearance, and it does have a glow effect in a place where it is placed in a dark areas, and this is one of the things that collectors do seek after when it comes to rare items. From that, another subspecies known as Crystallinum minhansa, and you can see it appears exactly like a dark form, but this has a huge, more heart-shaped leaf. So these are the small side variation and exclusivity when it comes to Anthurium plants, where you can actually purchase them and get them in one singular market area here. This Anthurium is identified and labeled as an endemic plant in Indonesia. There are indeed other anthuriums that are still under the collector's list, especially anthuriums such as King Anthurium and Anthurium Calaverinium King, followed by Anthurium radicans and Regale. There are so many that is been introduced in the market that the list can actually go on. But I would like to end here in my plant tour, and I just want to talk about a little bit of these characteristics of certain plants that are considered rare and premium in a way that are not easy to come by. And I hope you enjoyed this particular video here, and if you have any questions, do put them in a comment below, and I would like to hear from you on your thoughts concerning rare plants when it comes to Anthurium species. And I appreciate if you can click like and subscribe and support my channel from especially this particular video. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye.